a little mount that's there with a pillar on the top, which is called the Mount of Mercy, Jabal al-Rahmah. And they will climb up to different levels of it, making prayer there. And you can buy pictures, they have of Hajj and Mecca, so they will show pictures of these people all over this mountain making prayer. But actually, this is not a rite. This is not a rite of Hajj. Although, as I said, you'll find people crowded there, fighting to get up on this mountain, to pray on this mountain, the Mount of Mercy. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not do it, and it was not from the Sunnah to do it. And he said, خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ. You should take the rites of Hajj from me. You do it according to how I do it. But this has become a popular myth amongst Muslims, and they fight to climb up on this mountain, they spend all the time on this mountain, praying on this mountain. Whereas the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was to be in the plain of Arafah and to pray there. Now, after sunset, in the plain of Arafah, you set out for Muzdalifah. This is on the way coming back now to Mina. But whilst we're in Arafah, we should spend as much of our time in prayer, asking Allah's forgiveness, reading Quran, various acts of worship, either doing extra prayers, whatever, salah, sunnah, salah, whatever. We should try to engage all of this time in some form of worship, reflection on our lives, asking Allah for forgiveness for various things, that we need forgiveness for in our lives, etc. Asking Allah for guidance, etc. We shouldn't spend the time. You see, a lot of times when you go there, people just spend the time talking about worldly things. Things which have really no connection to the rites of Hajj and what we are there for. We should try, during the course of the Hajj or Umrah, or any act of worship that we're doing, we should try to make our mind concentrated on Allah and on seeking His pleasure, asking His forgiveness, asking His guidance. This should be, the essence of our worship. So we pray Dhuhr and Asr there at Arafah. We pray them together. At sunset, normally you would expect to pray your Maghrib immediately after sunset. But here what happens is that you delay the prayer of Maghrib until you reach Muzdalifah, where you pray the Maghrib and the Isha together. Maghrib in the 3 rak'ah, 3 units, and Isha shortened to 2. Now, Muzdalifah is a relatively small area, so people tend to be quite crowded there, and you will probably end up sleeping out in the open. What has happened is, again, because the minimum requirement for one who is unable to spend period of time in Muzdalifah is to make the prayer there, at least to have stood there and made the prayer. So if you were forced for some reason to just stand there, make the prayer and carry on, well then, it would be accepted as having fulfilled the requirements of Muzdalifah. But if you are able, you should not only pray there, but you spend the night there. But what has happened again, because the people are taking the minimum, what the companies that deal with carrying people through Hajj will do is they will drive them, they may even drive them straight through Muzdalifah. They're just looking at Muzdalifah and keep on and drive them on to Mina. Or they'll just stop enough time for them to pray, get them back on the buses and carry them on to Mina. Again, we have to be very careful that we don't get in a situation where, these companies or whatever are just going to rush us through Hajj and we don't get the full benefits of the Hajj. When we get to Muzdalifah, as I said, we should get down, make the Maghrib and the Isha there, and spend the night sleeping. Here, you don't necessarily have to stay up all night. Some people stay up all night, but the Prophet ﷺ, he slept. Spend part of the night praying, sleep until Fajr, get up and pray Fajr there in Muzdalifah. One other practice you'll find people doing there in Muzdalifah is that they'll be gathering stones. You'll see them going around looking for stones. They'll gather a big bag of stones, carrying approximately, how many stones? No. They'll gather up 42 stones, right? Which is for 2 days of stoning in Mina. gather up 42 stones. And if they're going to stay for 3, they'll gather up 63. The point is that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not gather any stones in Muzdalifah. He didn't go around, and what you see people doing, they'll take the stones, wash them and everything, put them in a special bag, and making shape, like a table. Oh, breaking the rock to make stones. No, this was not the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ at all. He prayed Fajr in Muzdalifah and set out from Mina. And when he came into the region of Mina, he sent the young Sahabi who was with him to go pick up some pebbles for him. So, picking up the pebbles in Mina is sufficient. And you pick up enough to do the stoning for that day. It's not picking up again a big bag of stones that you're going to carry around, lug around with you through the rest of the day till you finish it. So, no, you pick up 7, you go and stone. The next day you pick up 7 more and you stone like this. Now, this is the sunnah. You have to be very careful, as I said, in the process of Umrah and in the process of Hajj, people have innovated and started many practices which have nothing to do with the practice of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the performance of Umrah and Hajj. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did allow the women and children to leave Arafah at midnight. Leave Muzdalifah at midnight. Because of the crush of the crowd there when the stoning is taking place, he allowed them to leave early to go into Mina and do the stoning, which is the throwing of the pebbles at 3 different points which are known as the Jamarat. Okay? People call them the shaitans, but they're not shaitans, right? It's the Jamarat. They're called Jamarat. So it is allowable for those who are weak physically, they're not able to take the crush of the crowd, or women and children to go ahead and do the stoning early. Now, when we get into Mina after Fajr, we perform after, after we get in, we go to the largest Jamra, known as Jamra al-Aqaba. And, I said it is the actual number of stones that you throw. It will be 7 for each Jamra. Right? So, it's 21. But you can pick up 7, throw to the first. If you find another 7 and throw like this, it's fine. Or you can pick up the 21 and go to each. Throw at each, right? You say Allahu Akbar with each pebble that is thrown. And of course, some people you might see throwing all 7 at one time. Of course, it's not allowed. You throw 1 at a time. And the pebbles should be small. Because of course, some people are taking some big pebbles, throwing them, and of course they miss the Jamra and somebody on the other side is getting hit in the head. And so of course, this is, you have to be very careful. In the process that we don't, in our enthusiasm to practice the rites of Hajj, we don't hurt others. Right? So some people are waiting, they're way back away from the Jamra and they're throwing. The stones are not reaching the Jamra, hitting the people ahead of them. You have to be very careful to make sure that you, in trying to practice your rites, you don't hurt others. You have sincere intention to practice the rites of Hajj, you make sure you do it properly. Get up, work your way to the front, then throw your stones. One at a time, Allahu Akbar each time. And you may see also some people climbing on top of the Jamra with their shoes beating the Jamra. They have this idea in their mind that this is shaitan. Or they're beginning sticks and, whatever. They're in their mind, umbrellas, whatever. In their mind, the Jamra somehow is shaitan. And they're trying to, give it the work. So you'll find people throwing shoes even at the Jamra. But again, now this is, ignorant. And this falls back also on the Muslim communities where these people are coming from, because it's very important that the communities inform the people on what is the rights of Hajj, what is required of them before they go. It's also responsibility, as we said in the beginning when we were talking about it, when a person is intending to make Hajj, it's his personal responsibility to find out all that is required of him before going to make the Hajj. Because if he doesn't know what he's doing, he shouldn't go. Because he's liable to go there and do what he's not supposed to be doing. He just get into a frenzy and do what everybody else is doing. That which may be bid'ah,